I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too.
Welcome to Subject to Change, a sustainability podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another subject of, oh my God, can we take two? Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Subject to Change. I'm Lauren Stanek, and with me is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Jody Snitz-Anderson.
We're having a conversation with Kenyon Black.
So I'm really excited to introduce everyone to Kenyon Black. He is our local Upward Bound coordinator. What's your appropriate title, Kenyon?
The director. Yep.
Director. Mm-hmm. Way better than a coordinator. My bad. Yeah. Anyway, with that, Kenyon, can you tell us a little bit about the Upward Bound program so that we can get everybody just adjusted to it right off the bat?
Okay, now I can babble, so tell me when to cut it off. Okay, so Upward Bound is a program that started in 1965 here at LeMoyne. It's one of the original pilot programs. I want to say there was like 19 programs at the time. I might be wrong with that number, but it's one of the original programs. So it was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. So this is a major program that was needed, and it's all over the country. So it's not like a Syracuse thing. It's all over the country, and so the program designed to service first-generation low-income students. My job is to make sure they graduate from high school, enroll, and graduate from college.
Making the connection.
So how do students get engaged with you? What gets the people in the door with you?
Okay, yeah, great question. So normally we go to every 8th grade class about this time every year, and we promote the program. We talk about what the program can do for you, just like what you do when you go to college. So college would come and it would say, this is what we offer, this is what we do. Same thing we do. So we go to every middle school and we present to the 8th grade body. And we tell them about this amazing program that we are in your life for 4 years. So your whole high school academic career, we are there to help you navigate through that transition. It's very hard to get into the program, very competitive. We only bring in about 25 to 30 kids a year. So you're talking about the whole school district. You're talking about thousands and thousands of kids are applying for these positions. So to get into the program, you have to fill out an application. Mm-hmm. You have to do an essay. You have to get a letter of recommendation. You have to do an interview. And then we also have to see your transcript. So again, ding, 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 it's just like when you apply to college. So This kind of separates the kids to see who is serious about the process, who's serious about going to college. So if they put forth that effort to be in a program, I know they're committed.
And they start all of this process in 8th grade? Like they have to tick off that checklist starting in 8th grade?
So right now, so an 8th grader right now at Grant, Huntington, H.W. Smith, whatever middle school they're at, they will get an application now. The interview will start March, April, and they will know April, May if they're in the program, and then they will start this summer. So traditionally, if we were still live in person, they would come and they would live on campus for 1 week. They would live in a dorm. They would have a college experience. So they would have a roommate, somebody from a different school, preferably, because when they go to college, their roommate might be somebody from another country, another city, another state, whatever. We want to teach them how to live with other people. Everything they're going to take in the up and coming school year, we do it this summer. So when they go off to high school at Nottingham or Henniger or Corcoran, they're better prepared. We have New York State certified teachers. We have professors. We have college students that work with them. My staff is amazing, and they believe in making sure the kids are prepared for that transition from middle school to high school, because that's tough for a lot of kids.
Upward Bound is good for the parents, too.
We have a thing called a PAB, the Parent Advisory Board. And we meet with the parents. We go over everything from the transition to high school, how to, what a parent-teacher conference is like. For a lot of parents, they're turned off with the idea of a parent-teacher conference, maybe because as a kid, when they were in school, it was a bad experience, it was a traumatic experience, or whatever the case may be. We do everything from financial literacy. We talk to the parents about saving. We talk to the parents about what's going to happen 4 years from now when you have to apply to colleges, the FAFSA. the CSS profile, all these things that parents have to be prepared for, but it starts now. We tell the kids, when you go from 8th to 9th grade, colleges want to see, how did you do? Did your grades drop?
Yeah.
Colleges pay attention to, are your grades better in the summer or in the spring or in the fall, in the winter, does your grades drop? Like, there's all the different mechanisms that they try to figure out who the student is. We talk to the parents about that, because everything we do, it can't just be here. It has to go back home with them.
What about remote access learning?
How difficult was the transition to remote access?
You know, it's a catch-22. So kids who weren't doing well academically, this was a great platform for them, because they're more of an independent learner. They weren't thrilled about being in a classroom. They liked the independence of this. Was some kids were the opposite, who did very well academically, but they needed to be in a classroom. So now they might have an assignment due on Thursday. Now they have too much time to, I'll do it Monday. I'll do it Tuesday. I'll do it Wednesday. Now it's Wednesday and it's 11 o'clock at night. Oh my gosh, it's due the next day. So they had to learn their learning style. They had to switch it up for a lot of kids. Now the schools have done a great job of trying to provide different platforms for them to be successful. But in this situation, some kids who like to hide, they can hide even more in this setting. They can easily cover up their camera. They can easily say there was an issue with their computer they couldn't get on. We can't prove anything. So it's been a challenge keeping the kids engaged, because some kids are not sure if they're learning anything. They'll do the assignment, they'll do it, but are they learning anything? Are they learning something? That's been the challenge. And so an A in high school does not make you college ready. So now we've got to figure out ways to make sure we keep them engaged, finish their schoolwork, and make sure they're taking rigorous classes, make sure they're taking other things, taking college classes in high school. That saves you financially. There's so many things that we do. We do not allow our kids to take study halls as a senior. We want you to take a OCC class, take a Syracuse class, because that's what colleges want to see. Because they want to see, oh, you know what? You could have taken the easy route. You could have just did a study hall. You met all your requirements, but that's not enough. We got to make sure you keep that engine running. Because if you start taking study halls, then you're not working as much, you're not working as hard, and then you end up academically starting to fall back a lot. So we want to keep the kids engaged and busy the whole time.
Keep that engine running.
I like that image. Keep that engine running.
You know, I tell the kids all the time, your brain is like an engine. So you have this beautiful car you've been dying to buy. You bought it, you put it in the garage, and you never drive it. Next time you try to start it, it's not going to run the same way because it hasn't been running. So I tell the kids, you got to keep that engine running so it purrs, so it just sounds and it has that energy. But if not, it's going to be like, it doesn't know what to do. You put it in drive, it might go in the park. You put it in reverse, it might go into neutral because we haven't used it enough. You got to keep that engine running.
I love that. I'm going to use that.
Passion is just so evident. This is exactly what we love to see when we're in these interviews, is people who are engaged in their work and are willing to share it so that we can find the connections.
Yes.
A Corny Dance and Common Core.
I'm
almost ready to ask for a Corny Dance.
Or at least your favorite one.
And I don't know what it's called. So yeah, so what happens is the kid throws something at you and you catch it and you just, my daughter's gonna be so embarrassed, but oh well. So that's what we do. Yeah. So.
How old's your daughter?
17 and 13.
Oh, two of them.
Yeah, so please pray for me, help me, yes.
Perfect age for embarrassment.
Common Core.
Yeah.
I have my master's degree and I can't figure out anything when it comes to my daughter's homework, especially when she was in like 3rd and 4th and 5th grade. I could not figure it out. Crazy. So my oldest would say, hey, I'll do it with her because I know how to do it because she went through it. Perfect. Give her a couple extra dollars in her allowance. It works out for everybody. My oldest said, Dad, step to the side. And so she does it and I'm like, what did I just miss? How long was I asleep? I felt like I'm like 80 years old now. She's like, no, Daddy, this is how we have to do it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep you on the payroll. So it works out.
So I have been in those shoes. YouTube and the internet was my saving grace. I had to Google how to do, I'm like, why are they doing math in squares? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to long division?
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So you're in a hole.
In my 11 years working here, I think the biggest thing that changed has been the ability to advocate for themselves, but understand what they're advocating for. So like some kids will say, like, okay, so a prime example, if a kid has a question, do they know how to ask the right question to get the answer met? Or do they ask the question for the other person to answer the question for them? So it's not like they end up like, well, I don't understand how to do this. And they'll just sit there and they'll just wait and they'll wait and they'll wait and they would neglect everything else to do to say, I couldn't do anything because I was waiting on this one problem. And I always tell the story, and I'm a visual learner. So if you're in a hole and people are throwing dirt on you, you don't have a shovel. So you're gonna sit there and let the dirt pile on you? No, you gotta figure out, you're gonna throw it out, you're gonna figure out ways until you get a shovel. If not, the dirt's gonna fall, it's gonna get on you and you'll never get out. And so I always tell the kids, you can't just sit there and wait.
There's a fear of failure.
They're so afraid of rejection, so instead of rejection, they just don't do it. And it's like, okay, I can't fail if I don't do it, if I don't try.
That weighs in a bit on what you're saying. Technology gives us access to all these answers, but quite frankly, the answers that are out there might not actually apply anymore because the world is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
I think
and then it might not be accurate as well. Like, I can put up anything on the internet and say,
right.
The world is not flat, it's not round, it's triangle. And I can get enough people to think, oh, it's really a triangle shape. If I keep, but critical thinking is like, no, I know it's not that. Why am I letting something on a computer really control my mind? That's why you have to really just, dig deep, investigate and figure out what it really is. So
supporting the whole student.
So when my kids go off to college, I want them to have the same stories and experiences that their peers have had.
Yeah.
So I want them to say, oh yeah, we went to the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, so did I. I don't want my kids to say, I want them to get beyond Highway 81.
Right.
I want them to see what the world has to offer and what they're gonna bring to the table. My kids are prepared and they're ready to take over the world.
We actually have a common link amongst Kenyon and one of our other guests that we've had on, Kelly Kinahan. That's Kenyon and I met. Yeah. Kelly actually did a session with you guys, right?
So again, about building a whole student. So one of my students was like, I really want to know how to do yoga and all the different, ways to better myself and ground myself. And so I'm on Facebook, and somehow she and I had the same friend, and she would put up like little videos of her doing it. I was like, that seems so simple. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, you don't know me, but would you be interested in working with some high school kids? And she was like, yes. So she came and she did it for my staff and my kids, and we did yoga and Pilates, we did all these different things. And it was life-changing. I still do it now. And I'm an athlete. I thought, oh, I'm a man. I cut down a tree. I can do all these wonderful things. I can't touch my toes. I can't do anything. So when I'm in there, I learned how to be at peace, and all the different things. I'm like, wow, and that was like the best hour of letting myself go. And
that's great. The cerebral connected with the physical and the spiritual. We're not good at that. We're not looking at the whole person. And I've noted you've mentioned the whole student several times, and that's really compelling because you're right. You can't be sustainable. You can't really develop your own skills if you're ignoring one whole piece of you.
Yeah. And the mental health part of it. So we have somebody who does the mental health part as well. Just you got to be good. You got to be good within yourself before you can go out. Because the world can be throwing a lot of stuff at you, and if you're not bracing yourself for it and know how to deal with it, it's going to continue to bring you down. So we've been fortunate that this program allows us to do things beyond the classroom, because it takes more than just getting an A in class. We got to make sure they're good mentally, physically, spiritually, just everything. So
there's personal resilience.
There's this idea that, mentally, from a mental standpoint, you're teaching these kids from the time that they're in 8th grade and literally have to go through a rigorous process that is on par with applying for an actual college, less the SATs. And, taking them through that process, you're literally, you're teaching them to be resilient and innovative for themselves, right? I mean, really. And then there's kind of this larger kind of community-based sustainability that's going on too, right? I mean, you said specifically that these are first generation kids in college. So this must really do a lot for their immediate families, especially once they're out of college, right?
Stopping the dominoes from falling.
So the whole goal is to stop the domino from falling the way they've always been falling. So we want to, a first generation kid, student, once they graduate, they put themselves in a different company. Now, mind you, how many kids actually work in a field that they got a degree in is very low. Like most people just have a degree and they end up doing something different. But having that piece of paper puts you in a different box. So now you can, so like when you fill out an application, they ask for your name, social security number, and your education. So you can mark out the box to say, yes, I have a 4-year degree or I have a 2-year degree, things like that. So we are stopping the generational curse of lack of education and family. Now, education is not just, a degree as well, but it's being smart and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, every kid is not college bound. We know that, but being able to get a certification, to get something that's going to allow you to get a better job, to better financially, help with your family, and then just, create a better situation for you and your family.
Hands to work.
There's a huge frustration in my heart that so many people don't value craft-based education, vocational education, trade education. We're missing a lot of that in the US. The other thing that I think we don't educate well on in general is the soft skills, the emotional intelligence skills. Is that, it sounds like part of your program is also helping them develop the self-confidence and the communication skills, the softer skills that can be of great service in college. And I'm wondering if that's true, and also if colleges, from your perspective, should be focusing a little more on emotional intelligence.
Without a doubt. So I had a young lady, and she's at Colgate right now. She always said, Mr. Black, can we do more life skills classes? No, we know the core, we know the math, the science, the social studies, but like, I don't know how to balance a checkbook. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to do certain things. I'm like, that seems so simple, but it was brilliant. I said, you know what? That's what we have to do. Learning a trade and finding your passion makes every paycheck bigger than it really is. Like,
celebrate the ripples.
Do you find that there's peer-to-peer kind of advice giving outside of your program? Like, do the kids from your program, kind of talk to their friend base about what they're learning in it?
So that's a great question. So what happens is my juniors and seniors, they mentor my 10th and 9th graders. Oh. And then what we find out is some kids who either didn't qualify for the program, didn't think they wanted to be in the program. Why? I don't know, because the program's so awesome. And you get to hang with me for 4 years, so hello. But
I'm going to join the program.
Hello, thank you. So it doesn't work out for some kids, but I've learned that our kids are going and helping the kids in the school. So I have seniors that have already finished their applications, already finished their scholarship. We do that stuff during the summer. So when the school year begins, the senior year, they're already 10, 12 places ahead of their peers. And so they end up having to help their friends with their college application stuff, because guidance counselors are overwhelmed. It's like 200, 300, 400, 500 kids to one guidance counselor. Some kids, they don't trust adults. So they will trust their peer over the adult.
I love that ripple effect and the impact on the community. When you were talking about getting, the first generation of college graduates, I mean, that's the kind of the focus, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things, and this is just a bigger picture item in Project Drawdown, which is a book about how we reduce carbon, in the atmosphere, one of the most successful ways of doing that is to educate, especially girls in third world countries, because when they're educated, they bring money back to their community. They actually create a good structure in that community. They marry later and they have fewer children. So the side benefit of that higher education is a stronger community and a reduction in population growth.
Yes.
Which is incredibly beneficial for that entire piece of the world. And I think that that's one of the things that we fail to recognize, the value of education.
Awareness and activism.
Are you seeing the Black Lives Matter movement affecting your students positively or negatively? I mean, is there more activism or is there more concern and uneasiness?
So I have a young man who's at Syracuse University. Mm-hmm. He came from our program, and he was one of the young adults that led the Black Lives Matter rallies. His name is Ruel Branch, and he was a phenomenal student in our program, was a leader amongst his peers, and to see him do that at that magnitude was mind-blowing. We have those type of conversations because that is what's going on. We talked about what happened at the Capitol. We talk about what's happened because that's real life stuff. Unfortunately, some of the schools can't have those conversations because they have a curriculum they got to stick to, because they have to get ready for this big test. And understanding what the fight is about, not getting caught up in the media and they're looting. No, there's a reason why we're upset, which everybody should be upset. It's not a black and white, it's everybody. Kids are they're so brilliant and they're passionate and they just, and they don't see color the way adults do. So it's really hard to change an adult frame of mind, their thought process.
Yeah.
A teenager can get another teenager. Let's have a conversation where adults, we're stuck to our ways. This is all we ever knew. This is how we were taught. These kids have it different. These kids they know better. I tell my kids, you can lead and I will follow.
And how do you deal with doubt?
When you have moments of doubt about what the future will bring to these kids, how do you handle that moment of doubt?
So COVID had humbled me in many ways. The pandemic has humbled me. When I don't have an answer for a student and I can't get an answer, it hurts me. So I had a freshman say to me, Mr. Black, are we going back to school in the fall? I don't know. I don't know. Mr. Black, I am in college. Is it worth going back to school? Should I just take a class local? Like, I worked so hard to get, I don't know. And I tell them flat out, I just don't know. And if I knew, I would tell you, and you know that. I don't. But when you find out, you come back and tell me, and they do that as well.
That's incredibly brave to be able to say, I don't know. You're teaching them that that's okay as well. Mm-hmm. It's not okay to then sit there with that answer. You need to then find.
Right.
So that's great.
I want to be that one stable person in their life. This program is something that's stable to them. Mm-hmm. And that they know they can come to, whether it's a question about the SATs, whether it's a question about the college application process, whether it's a question about the academics, they know they can come to us about anything.
That's fantastic. And yeah, I just have great admiration for any process that builds that trust. Mm-hmm. I think that we need more of those processes.
Celebrating Charles and Doris.
When I got the email about the question, I was thinking of like Thurgood Marshall, like certain people that I like really like Malcolm X, like certain people that I read their stuff and I just love what they do. But then I was like, the answer is really easy. It's my mom and dad. And so I consider myself to be a very grounded person.
Yeah.
I am even Steven, as my friends call me. They're like, everybody likes you. You're a good guy. People love you around their kids. They trust you. Like, you can't do any wrong, whatever. So, but my mom and dad were that way. So my mom and dad, I have two older brothers. One passed away in 95 from HIV, from AIDS.
Oh.
And so he is somebody that I look up to this very day.
Yeah.
He's the reason why I left corporate America and wanted to work with children, because I wanted to make sure that I'm making an impact. That's what I wanted to do. Then my older brother, he's in education. He's in Nashville. He's been my biggest supporter as a kid. Like the same thing that my daughter does with my other daughter. Whatever he went through, he made sure, Kenyon, you're not going to go through this. You're going to be the best football player. You're going to be the best basketball player. You're going to be the best baseball player. You're going to be the best at everything. You're going to be the best person. That's because of my brother. But we come from mom and dad, and mom and dad are village parents. So all of my friends, every teammate, every classmate till this day still calls my mom and dad, mom and dad. So I had to be okay with sharing my parents with other people. Now, they might not have parents in their lives, or their parents weren't as involved, but my parents, my dad used to come to practice. My dad would travel to all my games. My mom would do the same. And so when I took on this position, I wanted to make sure I would be that familiar face to the kids. So whether it was a school event, I would go to, because that's what my mom and dad would do. I wanted the kids to look into the crowd, even though maybe the mom and dad couldn't make it to the game, or wasn't interested, whatever the case may be. At least they knew when they looked over there, Mr. Black was there. And I tell my staff as well, the kids need to see you in their space. See, they come to us, but now we got to go to their space where they're in charge. So, but my heroes are my mom and dad.
What are your mom and dad's given names?
Charles and Doris Black.
Excellent. Charles and Doris Black.
I don't know about you. I just feel like the world is a better place than I thought it was an hour ago.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I love this conversation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I am so inspired. And it's amazing to know that there's a resource for kids there, and to discover that, and to discover you. Passion.
But it's the kids, it's my staff, Catherine Haswell and Kiana Saunders.
Okay.
That's my team. I'm not here that we're one team.
A wise thought.
That every child is smart. Every child is smart. But it takes somebody to unlock that part of their brain. But to get to that door, they have to trust you. These kids have gone through so much. There's so many kids in this world that have been neglected, abused, and just all these different things, just life in general. We have to create an environment for them to feel safe and to be willing to open up. But when they open up their smart door. And so I think we have to allow kids to be who they are. Meet the kids where they are. Don't make them what they're not going to be. Make them what they want to be. So mom and dad want you to do something. They want you to be this. But that's not what you want to be. You got to allow your children to be who they're going to be. If you do that, they'll be a better person. So build the whole student. That's what it's all about.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I wish that that is true, that people hear those words and take them to heart. I wish that every person could be their whole person, whatever they determine their whole person to be. Mm-hmm. That's I think a key component in our collective sustainability, because we can do greater things when those things are based in who we really are.
Yep. So my old director, and I'll stop talking after that. So my old director, her name is Johnny Hilmars. She was in the original Upward Bound program in 1965. Wow. She then went on, got her degree, got her master's, and she came back and became a director of the program. That helped her. She had a thing that she used to say, and we still use it till this day, about finding a co-pilot in your life. A co-pilot is what? Somebody who's on your journey that to help you get to where you want to go. So your co-pilot needs to know where you're trying to go. So everybody, as adults, as children, we need to find a co-pilot that's going to help us get to where we want to be, but also check us when we get off track.
Yeah.
When we start shifting over here. No, you wanted to go here, stay back here. That's who your co-pilot is. And so I live by those words every day. But your co-pilot has to know that they're your co-pilot. Yeah. And some people don't want it. No, that's too much. Okay, thank you. Move on to somebody else. You got to find somebody who's willing to take that journey with you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jody, I just put this thing up in full. Just don't even edit it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the time you spent with us, Kenyon, and the love and the time you spend with your kids. It's beautiful to hear about.
And I'm blessed. I got a beautiful wife at home, Talisha, and I have two beautiful girls, Lauren and Mackenzie. They hold me down.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love the grounding of family. It's beautiful.
We are all subject to change.
Oh, what a marvelous working, continuing legacy building life. Kudos.
Yep.
Thanks to Kenyon Black, director of Upward Bound in Syracuse, New York, for joining us for a fantastic conversation. Be well.
I'm Jody Smits-Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us for Subject to Change. It has been a revelation the past hour and an inspiration. Thank you, Kenyon. Wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for spending your time with us and teaching us a bit more about not only Upward Bound, but about how we can help all of the kids and all of the people in our lives to be better stewards of not just themselves, but their peers and family members, and knowing that there are resources out there that we can all be reaching out to be resilient in ourselves and each other.
Yep, good deal. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.